Today I'm going to talk about my very first experience in the United States Navy in my first morning of boot camp. Um, when I joined the Navy, a week after turning 17 years old, I didn't know anything about the Navy. I just knew I wanted to get away from home. I didn't know a battleship from a can of beans. But anyway, here I am at MEP station. I think they may have called it like AFES or something else back in '81. It's called MEPS now, military entrance processing something. But anyway, so I did the physical and answer all the questions, and uh, you know I was ready to go in. So I was sitting in this chair uh, at this desk. There was a Navy chief. I remember his name, Chief Beveridge. I'm sure he's dead and gone now. If not, he's very old because this was in 1981, July 1981. And anyway, he says, "Okay, son, when do you want to go in?" I said, "Well, I thought I'm going in now." He said, "No, you don't have to go in now. Navy has a delayed entry program, and so you can wait a couple weeks, a couple months to go in, and you can go home and come back later." I said, "No, I want to go now. That's my whole point with being here was because I thought I'm going into the Navy." He said, "Yeah, but you don't have to go right now." He said, "You can go home, spend some time with your family, say bye to your mom and dad, your brothers and sisters, and then come in later." Well, all I want to do was get the hell out of home. I was a hillbilly in Tennessee. I wasn't happy. I read a lot, and I learned there's a whole new different world out there besides being on a little farm in Tennessee. So I was persistent. I said, "No, I want to go now." And I think, looking back now, I think that because it was around like 3 o'clock for military people, that's 1500. Um, it was at the end of the workday, for everybody that had met. I think that he was ready to go home, and he just didn't want to do the extra paperwork, signing me, to boot camp, get me the plane tickets and all of that. But anyway, I was eager. I just wanted to go. He said, "Okay, where do you want to go?" I said, "Well, what's my choices?" He said, "You can go to San Diego, California, Great Lakes Mistake, because they call it Great Mistakes now, but Great Lakes, Michigan, and or Orlando, Florida." Well, I remember that I was thinking there's the Disney World amusement park in Orlando, Florida. So I was keen on that. I've never been to Disney World. I always liked Disney at the time. Um, I said, "Well, isn't there Disney World in Orlando?" He said, "Yep, there's Disney World, there's Sea World, and there's Navy World." Later, I found out they call it Navy World. That's printed on the tower in boot camp by the old chapel. The base ain't even there anymore. But anyway, so it was called Navy World. I said, "Okay, yeah, that's where I want to go." He said, "Well, you have to like be going like right away if you're going to if you're going to go down there now." I said, "Okay." So anyway, he drew up paperwork and he gave me a check and a plane ticket. The check was like $8 or something. I said, "Well, what is this for?" He said, "That's for you to eat on at the airport because you're not going to have time to go eat. You got to eat at the airport." I said, "And this is the money this is what I get to use to eat?" He said, "Yeah." Now $8 was a lot of money for me, a 17-year-old, never used to having much money at all. $8 was a lot. And so when I got to the airport, got a shuttle from the Met station, um, and I got to the airport. I went right to the cafeteria, restaurant, whatever there was. I had steak, I had baked potato, I had big sweet tea, a salad, a piece of pie, maybe two pieces, because $8 was a lot of money. I don't think I ever ate so good. Maybe I just didn't remember at that time. So anyway, so I ate, and I think the plane was like leaving around maybe 7:30, going to Orlando. So I walked into the lounge. There's just one dude sitting there, and I'm sure Nashville airport is nothing like it was back then, but it really wasn't all that busy. So anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm talking to this guy in there, and he's probably about maybe 28, 30 or something like that. I was 17, so he was a lot older to me at that time. He said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to Orlando." He said, "What are you going down there for?" I said, "I'm going to join the Navy." He said, "What?" I said, "I'm going to join the Navy." He said, "Why didn't you join the Navy here?" I said, "Well, that's where they're sending me, to Orlando, to boot camp." He said, "So you're going to boot camp in Orlando?" He said, I said, "Yeah." I think I even called him sir because I was a dumbass. You know. He said, "You're already in the Navy." I said, "No, I'm going down to Orlando to boot camp to join the Navy." He said, "But you already went to MEPS. The Navy gave you the plane ticket to go to Orlando, right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You're already in the Navy." I said, "I don't think so." He said, "Look, do you remember being in a room with a bunch of other dumbasses with your hands up in the air and y'all repeating something that some dude up front was saying?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You were taking the oath of office, the military oath at that time. As soon as you dropped your hand, you was in the United States Navy." And that's when it first hit me. Man, I'm in the Navy. And I was so proud. I think that was the proudest I've ever been up to that point in my life. My chest swelled up, and it just dawned on me, I'm in the United States Navy. And but anyway, so I went on to later catching an airplane, and there's a shuttle bus at Orlando Airport, and they took us to a Naval Recruit Training Center, in Orlando. That was a wide-eyed experience, and it was already dark. I think it was maybe like 8:30 or something, maybe 9 o'clock, and they rushed us into to a building. They gave us our toiletries, our deodorant, uh, soap, shampoo, you know, toothpaste, toothbrush, and stuff like that. It's called RIF, Recruit Indoctrination Facility, and but anyway, then they had us all walk to our barracks, our dorm, or I think it's called barracks. And there was like maybe 8 or 10 sailors already there, and then like maybe 6 or 10, in my group. So went there and I picked out a rack. Um, the Navy calls them racks. They're like a bunk, it's a bunk bed, but where you sleep at on a Navy ship is called a rack. RACK, rack. So anyway, finally, get to sleep, and the next morning, the company commanders, I hadn't met them at that, until that time. They come in and they're wearing these red ropes, under their shoulder, under one shoulder, and that tells everybody that they're company commanders, and you better respect them. But anyway, so they come in, they're kicking the cans down between the bunks, and they keep yelling the word I never heard before. They're saying "reveille, reveille." Well, in the Navy, that means it's time to get up, get your ass out of the rack, and get your feet on the deck. Deck is a floor in the Navy. That's what the Navy calls decks. Walls are called bulkheads. Ceilings are overhead. What you walk on is called a deck, and you sleep in a rack. But anyway, back to my story. Um, they noticed that I was sleeping on the floor, on the deck, underneath my rack. They come over, they start yelling at me and saying, "Are you stupid? What is wrong with you? Why are you sleeping on the deck?" And when they finally calmed down enough for me to get a word in, I said, "Well, I hadn't slept in the bed since I was 11 years old, and the mattress was too soft for me. I couldn't go to sleep." So they stopped and they looked, and it's kind of like one of them. I remember had a look on his face like, "Oh, it was one of them," probably meaning freaking hillbillies, which I was. And so they said, "Look, Burger King." That was my name for the rest of the 8 weeks in boot camp. I was Burger King. The Burger King slogan, "Have it your way at Burger King." Well, I thought I was going to have it my way, and I was going to sleep on the deck instead of in the rack like everybody else. They said, listen, Burger King, in the Navy, it's one for all for one. Everybody does the same thing. You see somebody doing, so you see a group of people doing something, you join right in unless you're told different. So I said, okay. But anyway, I was 17 years old, 129 pounds. I was just a kid, and they, kind of, eased up on me. And probably about maybe 2 or 3 hours later, actually, it was after breakfast, we all had to, the first time marching was, we were all civilian clothes. We didn't have uniforms yet. And we were marching. They're telling us to stay in step, and you're so close. I don't know what they call it now, but if you stepped on somebody's heel, it's called flattening their tire. Well, you know, I flattened a few tires, on the way to the dining facility. In the Navy, it's called a galley. So, but anyway, I ate breakfast, and I could not believe that I could have anything I wanted. Whatever they had, pancakes, they had freaking French toast, fried potatoes, they had hash browns, and I ate pretty good, but I had to eat quick because they only give you 20 minutes to eat. So we get back to the barracks, they're calling for smoke break. The company commanders are saying, okay, smoke break. So everybody starts heading off into a break room. Well, here my dumbass follows them along in there, and they start whipping out the cigarettes and smoking. And somebody said, you need a cigarette? I said, yes. So I put the cigarette in my mouth, and I light it up, and I'm like, I'm coughing. They said, you don't smoke? I said, no. They said, well, why are you smoking then? I said, well, because they said that everybody had to do the same thing. I said, no, dumbass. We're on break. Okay, when you're in the break room, you don't have to do all that. This is our time. So anyway, um, uh, it was kind of embarrassing because I was so gullible. But anyway, that was my first experience in boot camp. I got in trouble the very first day in boot camp. Look at that. And I was Burger King the rest of the 8 weeks of boot camp. That was my name, Burger King, because I thought I was going to have it my way. Anyway, I appreciate you watching the video, and I'm going to have a good story for you next time. Y'all take care.